Hey guys, welcome. You're at the Thrifty Journal shop. My name is Amber. If you are new here, hi, I'm so happy you stopped by today. And for all of you awesome people that keep coming back, I so appreciate you. I hope you are all doing well. Today I've got 4 more scrappy quilt journals. 3 of them are up and listed in my Etsy shop, and one of the other ones is reserved, but I'm going to flip through that one at the end. I will definitely be making more after these because I've got so much more fabric now from Miss Maddie, so I'm going to play around with those. I've got some other ideas for incorporating some other things in with the fabric. So if you are at all interested, feel free to email me. I do have, this is the one that's spoken for, but I do have, I think, another owl quilt square. So if you're interested in one like that, you can feel free to email me. I don't know, or message me on Etsy. I can't make any promises of when, it would be done. I just want to throw that out there. This one is smaller. This is the smallest one I've made. So this is actually a really fun size. I know some people like smaller journals. So I'll flip through this one first. And I did make this one slightly different. Now, all of these have somewhat of the same things inside them, same sort of pages and some of the same elements I used in the last batch too. This one is the only one that I used a quilt as the spine. So this is a really pretty quilt. They all have 2 signatures. They all have the same amount of pages too. So this is what the back looks like. And then this is part of this quilt, the hummingbird. I just thought that was really pretty. Okay. So the measurements for this one, it's about 9.5 this way, and then about 8.5 in the height. There are 2 signatures. Each signature has 22 pages, giving you 44 front and backs with a total of 88 spaces. Then for this one, I did line this one with wallpaper. This really pretty, it's like metallic. It's got some metallic silver and pink and gray. And then I made some wallpaper pockets. Okay, and then this is the front pocket here. Same thing, that textured wallpaper, and I sewed a little cluster. Then all of these are going to have some kind of book tag or book marker that I made with that stamp that says this belongs or this book belongs to, and you can sign your name. They're all going to come with some kind of handmade envelope. I just took a book page and just rounded the corners, sewed around it, did some distressing here, and then added a little cluster. And then I tucked some sort of stationery or book page inside there. So that'll be tucked in there. Just a variety of fun papers. I love how all these lay. There's quite a few pages in here, but you wouldn't guess because you've got nice spines and they're nice and floppy. So this is some scrapbook paper, and then I just sewed on this garden flip. I like adding these. Got all that space to journal. Then there's a little pocket here, and here's just a scrap of some Dollar Tree paper. This is from a cake book. I just thought that was kind of cute. I made like a large flip out with the country blue goose there. And then it folds this way. So it's got like a little tuck envelope here, and you can, could journal on here if you wanted to. I just thought that was kind of cool. With some fabric, we have stationery. I elongated the pages this way because this journal was a little bit longer. So I just rotated the page there. But this is out of some craft book, like an embroidery book. Just thought it was really pretty with all these colors. And then there's some trim. I like this cookbook. This was like a Campbell's cookbook. I don't think it was very vintage, but some of the little pictures in here are really kind of cute. And I liked it because it's really nice, thick paper. So this kind of paper I like. It's like a lightweight kind of cardstock. It'll take glue and paint really well. A garden paper, and I just folded it up and made like a pocket. And then here is just a page out of a vintage sewing book and a little card here. Little flash card, vintage, some wallpaper, another garden page, and I folded it up and made another little pocket. And I just added some of this fun Dollar Tree paper. Just love all the texture and the shimmer on it. This is some of my sprayed food coloring paper, really pretty but subtle. This was some wallpaper, and I just sewed some vintage wrapping paper. I kind of double-sided it, so there's a little slight tuck right here if you wanted to tuck something in. I added a Care Bear page in all of these. And then there's that wallpaper. And all of these, I added a little card from the memory game. I love that game. Just thought they were kind of cute. Made another pocket. Here's some vintage wrapping paper, and then a sheet from a field guide. Monopoly money. Another little pocket, and here's a tag. And then this is just something out of a photo, like a photo book. You could slide a picture in there if you wanted to, or journal. Yeah, see, there's that Campbell's. I just thought it was cute. Some of the little pictures with the little kids there. There's more of that needlepoint book. Very pretty. Stationery. This is some scrapbook paper. I made up another pocket. There's some more wrapping paper. So this one has lots of pockets and tucks, which is nice. Some vintage music sheet. This is some double-sided scrapbook paper. I just thought that was really pretty. Lots of space here in the signature. This was out of another like craft book. I just thought it was really pretty with all of the colors. Made another little pocket, more vintage wrapping paper, and then here's some tickets. This is some sprayed music paper. There is some vintage sheet, and this is some of that Betty Crocker children's book page. I just thought it was really cute. I love all the colors. A bird book page. Some of this really fun stationery that's got a thicker like weight to it. Here's some vintage sheet. Some stationery. This is from a cake decorating, more stationery, an atlas, and I just sewed an envelope. And then inside here, I tucked some goodies. Got a vintage playing card, a little tag, and a little coin holder. This is some vintage ledger paper. I love this. Great writing space. There's a little fabric cluster. More craft paper, a little cluster heart, that atlas. I just love the bright blue. So pretty. So lots of writing space, lots of places to glue, to paint, more stationery, more of that heavier stationery. And then I added this fun little playing card here with the butterflies. And then I tucked this vintage postcard and another little sheet from the Dollar Tree. Back of the bird book, there's that Betty Crocker page. And I just tucked in another sheet from a vintage cookbook. And then this little card that says summer. So cute with all those colors. The sprayed paper, another pocket, and here is another little playing card. There's a cluster. And then this is a sheet from like a vintage dictionary. So I filled all the pockets and all the tucks with things. So you can take those out, move them around. And then in this pocket, I put a bingo card and then just another little bingo sheet. So you will have that. And then there's the back of that one. So you have all that space, but you have lots of pages. Just nice and fun, nice and squishy in your hands. Okay, now we've got one of the Holly Hobby ones with the quilt of the flower here. And some lace and the llama. I love this one. It's so pretty. Got all the different fabrics. Okay, and this one is 10 by 9, has 2 signatures. Same thing, 22 pages in each signature, giving you 44 spots front and back, totaling 88 pages. I love the wallpaper in this one. I lined it with some of that metallic wallpaper, and then I made some pockets, added a cluster. Here is your tag. And then this is just a divider out of some kind of garden book. Then here's that pocket, just so pretty. The silvers and stuff with the blues. There is a bingo card. And then this is the envelope that I made from a garden book. And then added the cluster. And then there's some vintage music paper in there. So that'll be tucked there. Bird book page. I love those birds and all the color. There's that writing paper with some trim. This is a vintage cookbook page. I love this scrapbook paper. So pretty. Double-sided. Just fun. This cute little vintage cookbook page. I love that. Another page from a craft book. Some painty paper. Some blues in here. That is from the Betty Crocker cookbook. Love that with Pin the Tail on the Donkey. This is a garden paper. I just folded it in. Sprayed music paper. You've got ledger paper, stationery, more ledger paper. And then I sewed this little vintage playing card here with the toucan and then added some tickets and a tag. Monopoly money. Added some trim there. That Betty Crocker book. This is the other side of the painty paper. That craft page. So pretty. Lots of colors. There's the other side of that scrapbook paper. And then I just added a lot of offcuts of either scraps or the Dollar Tree paper. This is a page from a vintage sewing book. Stationery. Then I made another little tuck spot in this one with these pretty flowers. And this is just out of a cake decorating book. It's got some envelopes here in this writing space if you wanted to cut that up and use that. Or tear it up and use it for collage or whatever. Then there is some fabric washi. Second signature, here's a cake decorating. This is out of like a stained glass. I think it was birds and flowers. So pretty. There's that Campbell's cookbook with the cute little images. A little cluster. Yeah, see, that looks sort of vintage there. Atlas. And then here is a page from that embroidery book. Another craft book. There's a fabric heart. Some really cool wallpaper. Here is a flip out. Another little pocket here with some scraps of paper. Another garden page. Some birds and some trim. The sprayed paper. Here is your Care Bear page. I made a pocket here with some vintage wrapping paper and tucked in some more sheets from the Dollar Tree. I love those deer there. Another pocket with the scrapbook paper, and I just tucked in vintage wrapping paper and some bingo cards. I made a little flip here with the wrapping paper. Craft book page. This is the embroidery, and there's the card from the memory game. Little grasshopper. And I sewed this envelope onto the atlas. And in here, I tucked a vintage card, a time card, and this little coin envelope. That Campbell's book, the stained glass book, cake decorating, and that's the back of that one. So you have all sorts of colors. I love that spine. So pretty. All right, and then this one is the one I did with you guys on camera when I showed you how I make my fabric scrap journals. This one is the same size as the last one. It is 10 by 9. I added some rickrack here on the side. And lace. And that's the spine, and that is the back. And what I did for this one is, this also has 2 signatures. And then what I did inside here was I lined it with this gold metallic wallpaper. I love this wallpaper. And I gave this one fabric pockets. Same thing, you're going to have that gold metallic with the really pretty blue checkered. So pretty. I just tucked a piece of stationery. There is your bookmark. This book belongs to. And then I made a little envelope out of a craft book page. I thought that was so pretty. Added that cluster. This is a Carrie Paper Monkey cluster. And there's just some sheets of either some music paper, maybe some vintage wrapping paper. So those will all be tucked in this pocket. I pulled apart another journal and took some pages from that. So this is going to have a different variety of papers too. This is some wallpaper. This was some paper I found at a thrift store a long time ago. I thought it was cute with the I am thankful. These might have even been placemats, I believe, but they're pretty thick. Just some copy paper. This is from a vintage craft book. And then I added this really pretty stationery just as a flip. Vintage ledger, some sprayed music paper. This is kind of cool. This was out of a craft book, but it was very lightweight. And here's like a vintage tag off of something from the sewing department. And then I added this little piece of stationery. So to make this a little more structured, I sewed some like lighter weight cardstock on there. And so you've got a little pocket, and then this is just a sheet from a vintage sewing book. So that's tucked in there. I hinged this page together with a vintage sheet. This is some really cool craft paper. Made a little tuck with a playing card. Here's a tag and an index card. This one has lots of fabric trims in it. This is some rainbow stationery. This is a page from Winnie the Pooh. Got some more wallpaper in here. Lots of trims. There's that craft book. There's the vintage sheet. And then here's where this flips out. So that's what it looks like there. So this is very vintage looking. And then I just sewed some scraps together. So you've got a tuck spot here. I tucked in a time card. So that's kind of cool. Music paper. This is a page from a vintage sewing book. Added some lace. Then I just sewed around it and added this pocket. So you've got this little tuck area here. This is from a 1995 calendar. Thought that was cute with the little puppy and kitty. This is from a vintage cookbook. I love that. It's cake decorating. So it folds out, and then I just sewed a little tuck spot, and there's a little Winnie the Pooh page. Back of that paper. I sewed an envelope here on the back of the wallpaper, and in here I put a bunch of goodies. There is some playing cards, a bingo card, some stickers, Monopoly money, little coin wrap, and some vintage wrapping paper. That will all be tucked in this little envelope here. Second signature, here's some scrapbook paper, another little tuck area with a kitty cat playing card, Dollar Tree paper, more wallpaper. This one has more wallpaper than I think all the other journals. A vintage cookbook page. This is from a vintage children's book about birds. And then I tucked in this really cool page from a like a coloring book I got at a thrift store. I thought that was cool. And then this is from the embroidery book. I just love those colors with those butterflies and the flowers. Love this page. This is from sheets I found with the vintage men and ladies at a thrift store. This is some penny paper, ledger paper. I made a flip here. This is from a craft book. There's a little tuck there. Another playing card. Here's some vintage stationery and a little sheet from the Dollar Tree. Lots of trims and lace. This is some vintage music paper, scrapbook paper, craft book, stationery, ledger. A lot of messy stitching on here. Lots of strings hanging off too. If that bothers you, you could always trim them. So this is pretty scrappy. Love that penny paper. More of that coloring book page. Pocket here, I think, with the bird book page. And I tucked in some more vintage stationery, a flashcard, and some Monopoly money. Vintage cake book, And then there's some more wallpaper. And then there is the garden page and some scrapbook paper. So that is this one. Okay, and so this one is reserved. This is another little small one. Like I said, if someone's interested in me making another one this size, or I can make it a little bigger, I do have, I think, one more cute little owl. So this is 9 inches by 8. It has 2 signatures. This one ended up with a little more pages. This has 96 pages total. So there's 24 in each signature, times 2 is 48. Also has 2 signatures. This one, I didn't put a back pocket in, so you could always add a back pocket, but I love this wallpaper. Isn't that beautiful with the blues? Oh, let me show the whole cover there. So this has the owl and a little heart, some lace, green lace, some pink lace. I just love it. All different kinds of fabrics. So I gave fabric pockets with wallpaper, and then there's the little book tag, and here's the cool envelope, that embroidery book that's just so pretty. And then tucked in there is, I think, just a book out of a vintage garden book. There's the cluster. This is some scrapbook paper with some trim. This is a page out of a Michigan book. That Betty Crocker cookbook, and then here's a little pocket, and I just put these cute little scraps there. Just thought those were cute. Stationery. There is that thicker paper. I did a little stamping. Wallpaper. Added the sweet little napkin so you could decoupage if you wanted to. Here's that page from that Campbell's cookbook. I love the little retro lady there. The pretty cake and the trim. Cake decorating. Stationery. This is some scrapbook paper. Here is an envelope, and inside this side of the envelope is some playing cards, little peanut card, alphabet fun, and some stickers. Then here is part of another bird book page I cut down, so I just added that to the middle of the signature. And then here's the other side of the envelope. I sewed 2 envelopes together. And then this is just another little tag. This is a cutoff from part of the other Michigan paper. I thought that was cool. You've got Michigan out of like the Petoskey stone with the UP. Scrapbook paper, stationery, the cake book, another little vintage lady there. Stationery, the scrapbook paper, writing space, little stamps, fabrics, whoops, stationery. Then here is that Betty Crocker book, and I just folded it up and sewed it, the elephant. And then there's that double-sided scrapbook paper with a little cluster. And then in here, I added a fabric heart. And this, I scrapped together a bunch of different fabrics. I added the owl. I just thought because the owl on the front, I had these. I've been making these on and off. This is just really fun. Just added painty paper. Then this is a page from a field guide. Second signature, garden paper. In here, I added a star. Same thing, but this is a bunch of scraps of paper. I think I made a master board, and then I just hand stitched around it. And then here are some scraps from the Dollar Tree. Construction paper. I added the construction paper to the coloring book page because this was really light. There's a little tuck there. It was lightweight, I mean. Care Bear page, scrapbook paper with a tuck. This is from an address book. I just thought it was really pretty with the dandelions and the flowers. You can make a tag out of that. Atlas paper, ledger. There is the flip with some trim. And then there's a little tuck here. I sewed it to this painty paper or sprayed paper, sprayed music paper. So pretty. Whoops. That is just beautiful. Little cluster, craft book page. So here's the bird book page, and because it wouldn't fit, I cut the top off. So these are the ducks from the top, and I just thought I would add those. I wanted to keep the whole page. There is some washi tape, some fabric washi that I made. Then I just added a little heart here and then just tucked in some stationery and another sheet from the Dollar Tree. Little paper bag in the center here, and I just included a little tag from Monopoly, a little coin tag, craft book, Monopoly money, more of that book, all those colors, sprayed paper. There's some more fabric washi, ledger, there's the atlas with some more fabric washi, made a pocket, and in here I included this card. And then this, I just thought it was cool. It had the owl on it, so I included that. Care Bear, more of vintage wrapping paper, and just backed it with some construction paper. And then there's a flashcard and a guest check that'll be tucked in there. Garden paper, made another little tuck, and there's some more Dollar Tree fun paper. So pretty. So that is the back. That is the back cover, and that is the front. Okay, guys, so these 3 journals are listed in my Etsy shop if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys being here. I hope you get outside today and enjoy some weather, and I hope you find some time to create for yourself. I'll see you real soon. Thanks so much for watching.